Hi friends, I'm Yamini Sharma and I welcome you back to my channel, The Saffron Box. Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about the upcoming transit of Jupiter into the sign of Aquarius. So Jupiter on the 21st of November 2021, this month, moves into the sign of Aquarius. So it is transiting through its sign of debilitation, that is Capricorn, and on 21st it moves to the Saturn owned sign of Aquarius. So it is moving from one Saturnian sign to the other. Just to give a quick recap of what Jupiter transit actually holds. Jupiter moves from one sign to the other in about 12 to 13 months, takes about an year plus to transit through a sign, and for it to actually transit the entire zodiacal belt, return to a particular sign, it takes about 12 years. So it is after 12 years that actually Jupiter is coming back into the sign of Aquarius. And when it comes to Aquarius, it will be actually entering the third pada of Dhanishta Nakshatra, Mars own Nakshatra. It will transit through the third and the fourth pada, and then it will move on to the next nakshatra of Shatbhishak, which is Rahu owned. It will go through the entire nakshatra, which means the four padas of Shatbhishak Nakshatra, and then move on to its own nakshatra of Purvabhadra. So this transit is going to be pretty interesting. It enters into the nakshatra of Mars. It's friendly planet as well, and then it crosses through Shatbhishak, which is again going to be a very interesting transit through this nakshatra, and then further on goes to its highest nakshatra, that is Purvabhadra, and passes through the three charnas there. So Jupiter, as we all know, also aspects the fifth and the ninth places from itself. So all planets, as we know, have the seventh aspect, but Jupiter has the additional drishti, or the additional aspect of the fifth and ninth houses as well. So we have to keep that as well in mind. And of course, before I go ahead, a little disclaimer that you have to see the transit of Jupiter keeping in mind the promise of your chart. What has been the promise of your natal chart? How is Jupiter placed in your natal chart? Of course, the sign of Aquarius, what kind of planets does it have? Because Jupiter is going to be transiting over these planets, etc. So transit has to be seen keeping in mind a few things as per the natal chart. And of course, before I go ahead further, I would also request you to subscribe to the channel, give a like, comment, share your views on the channel, and let me know your views, your experiences of this Jupiter transit as well. So going ahead with this video, I would first of all just go through what Jupiter actually signifies. So Jupiter, as we all know, is the planet of beneficence. It is the most benefic planet of the 9 planets. So it gives divine grace. It's the planet of wisdom. It is the planet of happiness, of intellect. It bestows wealth, prosperity. It is a karaka of your husband, children, and of course all things wise, knowledge, advanced knowledge, moral values, your higher learning. So all these things is what Jupiter covers, to name a few. And when I talk about the sign of Aquarius, Aquarius is a Saturnian sign. It is an Aries sign, first of all, if we begin with the element. So it is an Aries sign. It is a sign which represents humanitarian work, which represents networking with other people, sharing of ideas. It's the sign of the future. So future innovations, inventions, thinking ahead. So here, when Jupiter moves into the sign of Aquarius, actually with the basic nature of Jupiter, which is of expansion, in the sign of Aquarius, Jupiter gets to expand all these things, gets to expand the connection between people, gets to expand, the focus on social work, on welfare, on working together as groups towards humanitarian causes. And of course, it looks into the future. It enables our thinking towards the future, plan ahead. So Aquarius being an Aries sign also represents planning and a lot of mental activity, lot of thinking. And Jupiter being the planet of wisdom, Jupiter being the planet of intellect, actually feels comfortable over here and is able to bring out the goodness of the sign of Aquarius as well. So Jupiter, as we all know, wherever it is, it casts the fifth, seventh, and ninth aspect as well. So all planets have the seventh aspect directly 180 degrees from wherever they are. They have an aspect, but Jupiter has the additional aspect of the fifth and the ninth house as well. Right? So wherever Jupiter is, that means the trines are going to be affected, and of course the seventh house from itself. So the trines is something which you have to actually see. Whichever house Jupiter is transiting into in your birth chart, you have to actually see the trines from there. Also, do check if Jupiter is a functional malefic or a functional benefic planet for you. That is again something which is important, and I'll cover it as I talk about the effect of Jupiter on all this on all the 12 signs as well. So I'll begin with the sign of Aries. Now for Aries, Jupiter is going to be transiting through the 11th house. It will enter the 11th house of Aquarius. 11th house, as we all know, is the house of gains, of your wish fulfillment. It is the Labsthan. And Jupiter coming over here, Jupiter is the Karka also of the 11th house. Jupiter coming over here enters the Kama trine. 11th house is the highest of the Kama houses as well. So over here, it lifts the chart overall. It gives an overall rise to the Aries sign. So the people with the Aries ascendant could feel that there's an overall rise in their social status, or they are getting all those wishes fulfilled. They are getting into more income or more gains gradually as Jupiter transits deeply through the sign of Aquarius. So Jupiter's transit over here, I would say that this is going to be actually a good transit for the Aries ascendant, Aries Lagna. Jupiter from here aspects the third house, as I said. So with the fifth aspect, it aspects the third house, which actually gives you a chance to build up your relationship with your younger siblings, with your neighbors, etc., bond well with them, and also work on where you want to put in your courage, where you want to put in efforts, right? So those things are actually amplified. The courage factor, what kind of initiatives are you going to take up for your future, is what Jupiter will make you focus on as well. Jupiter also aspects the fifth house, the seventh house from where it is posited. So the aspect of progeny, more focus on children. Those people who are planning children, who are planning to have children in this coming year, could actually benefit from this transit as well. This is also a good time to work on your creative skills, to work on your communication skills as well. So how are you creatively expressing what you have? How do you bring it forward to the world is something which Jupiter makes you focus on, and you could actually polish these skills as well. It also aspects the seventh house. So with the seventh house and the fifth house getting aspected both by Jupiter, and as we further on move in the coming few months, Saturn would also be coming into the sign of Aquarius. I also foresee a very bright chance for people to get into marriage alliances. So if you were looking to getting married, this is a bright chance, this is a bright year. Transit supports you. Again, depends on what kind of promise you have in your birth chart. Chances of getting married do certainly increase a lot. This is also a great time for people who are in partnership businesses to enhance their business, or maybe have a better partnership formed. Get into a new business, get into some kind of business which deals with creative stuff as well. right? Good time for studies, also a very good time for increasing your social network, your popularity overall in your social network, social circle also increases. So these are the kind of effects which I see for people with Aries ascendant vis-a-vis the Jupiter transit. Now moving on to the next ascendant, that is Taurus. So Taurus ascendant actually sees this transit happening in the 10th house. Jupiter moves out of the ninth, comes to the 10th. So it is leaving the trine and coming into the Kendra houses, coming into the center Kendra houses as well. So here Jupiter's transit into the Karmsthan, into the most potent and very powerful house in the center, also helps you out, helps you in your work, helps you in getting gainful foray into your work, into your profession as well. So you'll be able to focus more on the kind of work which you're doing, your profession, uh, what kind of a talent you have, how do you bring it on to the world, how do you bring it up to stage. So Jupiter's transit over here actually helps out in terms of your upcoming work which you're getting, expansion of your work, expansion of your business, helps you come into a better status when it comes to work. So you get more recognition for the kind of work which you're doing, you get better recognized, you get known by the work circles as to what kind of talent you have. So whatever you were building on till now, this is a time where Jupiter helps you in showcasing it to the world as to how good are you, what are you made up of. So excellent time for that. Those in family businesses could also benefit. Jupiter is aspecting the second house of wealth, second house of family. Jupiter is actually affecting the entire Artha trine, and it is in the highest Artha house as well, that is the 10th house. So family related businesses, if you are in, this could bring in some changes, some movement over there. You could invest your family wealth into your business, into the family business, and connect well within the family as well. This is also a time to get into some disciplined savings. Now, Jupiter from the 10th aspects the second house of accumulation, second house of savings. So, Jupiter is also the Karka of finance, of wealth. This could be a very good time to actually start getting into a very disciplined mode of savings also. This transit of Jupiter also makes it, aspect the house directly from itself, that is the 4th house. So your relationship with your mother could get stronger. You could get chances to spend more time with your mother. The comfort at your home could increase. So you could actually be, in a way, moving into a bigger house, or making plans, or maybe at least getting more financial help to get into a bigger house or a vehicle, etc. So 4th house significations also do get a boost over here. um, 4th house also deals with our education, and Jupiter's transit over here could actually trigger chances for you to get into more, higher education, uh, the kind of education which you want to actually pursue. So excellent time for that, good opportunity for it. And Jupiter also from the 10th aspects the 6th house, 6th house of your daily routine, 6th house of your courage. It is a Trik Bhava as well. So here I would say that your daily activity could go up. You could be more busy, you could be spending more time at work, spending more time with people at work, etc. So overall, this transit is going to help you in your work, in help you in your finances. That is what Jupiter's transit is going to be doing for you. One word of caution for the Taurus ascendant: it is important that you uh, make very planned decisions. Jupiter is the 8th lord as well, and here the 8th lord of, it's the lord of a Trik Bhava. So Jupiter moving into the 10th could actually bring in sudden events with respect to your work or your work routine. So you need to go ahead in a very planned fashion, organize yourself better, in terms of your work, your profession, and I think you should be sailing through pretty well. So moving on to the Gemini ascendant. For Gemini ascendant, Jupiter is the seventh lord. It is the 10th lord, owns two important Kendra houses, and it is coming into the ninth house, which is again a trinal house, the highest of the Dharma Trikona. So Jupiter's transit over here actually affects the entire Dharma trine, affects the ascendant, affects the fifth house. Of course, it is coming into the ninth house, and it aspects the third house as well. So what does this bring for you? First of all, this gives you a better opportunity to connect with the divine forces, to connect with your spiritual self. So some of you could actually, depending on what kind of a age stage, what kind of a stage are you in, you could actually feel like getting into some kind of practices, spiritual practices for yourself. Some of you would like to undertake some pilgrimages, journeys to connect with a guru, to connect with some higher power. You could feel that. You could feel like doing all this. This, of course, brings opportunity to build up a better relationship with your father, with your mentors, your teachers, your guides. And this entire transit of Jupiter could actually help you raise your value. How? By actually taking in good advice, by working on improving yourself, improving, getting into good habits, letting go of a lot of stuff, bringing in good work practices, trying to become a better person, bringing in more good habits, etc. So Jupiter's transit actually over here in the ninth house helps you overall in lifting yourself. Excellent time. And it aspects the ascendant, so you grow as a person. You introspect as to what kind of work do you do, what kind of relationships do you have, and it helps you bettering yourself. Jupiter also aspects the third house, so this could be again a good transit to build up relationships with your younger siblings, take up journeys wherever required, so your journeys could be fruitful. Jupiter also aspects the fifth house, so a very good transit actually for people who are looking at childbirth, who are looking at progeny aspects as well. So if till now you were not being very successful, I think this year, coming year, if you are in that age and stage, and if you're planning on conception, etc., this transit could actually help you out a lot. This is also a good chance for you to connect with a lot of people, connect with people of higher intellect, right? So really a good opportunity for you to grow as a person and upgrade your skills. So Jupiter over here is actually going to facilitate all these things as well. Then I move on to the next sign of Cancer. So for Cancer, you see Jupiter is the sixth lord, owns a Trik Bhava, is also the ninth lord, owns a Dharma house as well, and it is coming into the eighth house. So here, from here, Jupiter affects the Moksha trine, it aspects the fourth house, the 12th, and of course the second house of speech, of family, wealth, etc. So here I would say that there is a kind of a Viprit Rajyog also which is getting created, because Jupiter being the sixth lord comes into the eighth. So initially you could also feel a lot of difficulties. What kind of difficulties? Difficulties because of speech, difficulties in the family. So, difficulties with regard to the health of your in-laws, of your spouse's families as well. So these are the things which one should be careful about. Otherwise, if you are looking at any kind of a legal matter, any kind of a family matter which has been stuck, I think this is a time when you actually get some traction. So Jupiter could actually try to take you out of adverse circumstances gradually. You could also feel like spending a lot of time at home or in isolation, in solitude. Jupiter in the Moksha trine could actually trigger those emotions for you. So you could actually spend more time at home, be with yourself, Try to enjoy the comforts of home rather than mingling too much outside home as well. So these kind of opportunities could come. You could also go ahead and spend some time in some retreats, in some ashrams, in some places of worship. These kind of chances also you could come into. Depends on what kind of placement does Jupiter have in your natal chart as well. So initially I see some kind of difficulties because of how you speak within the family. So speech could land you into trouble, etc. That is something which you should be watchful about. But as the time goes, a lot of pending issues could actually start resolving themselves, because as I said, Jupiter is sitting in a Trik Bhava, being the lord of a Trik Bhava as well. So one thing which you also need to take care of, in case you are suffering through any long pending or any kind of a chronic disease, you really need to take care of your health as well. That is something which I would really advise. Overall, the positive side also, one of the positive things which I see is that Jupiter could also help you in increasing the worth of your assets. So the worth of your house, the worth of your assets, I see increasing. So this could actually translate into something better in the times to come as well. Now moving on to the next ascendant of Leo. So for Leo ascendant, if you see Jupiter is coming into your Kendra house, that is the 7th house. It aspects the Lagna directly, and it also aspects the 3rd and the 11th house. So the entire Karma trine is getting affected, and of course the Lagna is getting aspected as well. So here, Jupiter is also the 5th lord. It owns a trinal house, so the effect is going to be more positive as such, despite the fact that Jupiter also owns the 8th house as well. So here I again see chances of you looking at financial gains. So you're looking at your desires, you're looking at what kind of desires you need to get fulfilled, what kind of efforts are you going to make. Jupiter aspecting the 3rd is also going to make you efforts, increase your parakram, increase your courage and ability to take on more responsibility so that you can accomplish more finally. And it actually boosts your self-confidence, your self-worth, and is able to help you take on more responsibilities towards wish fulfillment, towards whatever you desire to do finally. So here the entire cycle is complete, from the 3rd to the 1st house to the 11th house. Jupiter, depending on how it is in your chart, it could actually make you think through, plan through well, and finally execute and reap the benefits of whatever you want to achieve. So a very good transit, important transit, of course, I would say. Jupiter also helps you focus a lot on your relationships. So your relationship with your spouse, your relationship with your social circles, relationships are going to get emphasized, and they are going to help you also accomplish a lot. So that is something which could come. Jupiter could also bring in some sudden results. Remember, it is also the 8th lord. So here, with the 8th lord coming into the 7th house, sudden results could come with respect to your relationship. Something which was long forgotten in terms of a marriage alliance, maybe that could fructify. Sudden results could be seen. Those who are looking at matchmaking could also see a lot of traction here. If you're of marriageable age, if you're already in talks with somebody with regarding marriage, etc., I think a lot of traction is something which is up on the cards. You could also receive a lot of support from your partner. So whether it is your life partner or your business partner, 7th house signifies both. A lot of support could come in over here. So make use of this, and this is an excellent time for you to actually fulfill your wishes, work on what you want to achieve, and plan it ahead, and kind of reap the fruits as well. Now I move on to the next ascendant, that is Virgo. So for Virgo ascendant, Jupiter owns the 4th and the 7th house, and it is going to be transiting in the 6th house. A little challenging as it may sound, but Jupiter is actually going to affect the Artha trine. It is going to aspect the 2nd house, the 12th house, and the 10th house. So the second and the 10th houses are part of the Eartha houses, and Jupiter itself is going to be coming in the 6th. So 2 6 10 active, the 2 6 10 axis gets affected, and Jupiter is aspecting the 12th house. So what does this do? This brings in a lot of hard work. Jupiter is coming into the house of your daily routine, of your daily struggle as well. So a lot of hard work could actually be required of you. Though you may also feel a tendency to be a little lazy and laid back as well. Jupiter in the 6th could actually kind of make you feel a little lazy initially about doing things which have to be done. But this is not the time actually to kind of be laid back or procrastinate things. That is something which you'll always feel tempted to do during this transit. But this is a time to be very actively thinking through about your finances, about your wealth, how you're going to go about your monetary savings, how are you going to increase the worth of your assets. That is something which you'll have to keep a lookout for. This is also an excellent opportunity for those who are looking at seeking a new job, or who have to start working as such. Excellent opportunity. You could actually be landing up a job during this transit, make more money as well. So some of you would also see a rise during this transit in terms of their monetary gains as well. Now, one more thing which I would like to highlight over here is 6th house is the house of Prarabdha, and Jupiter coming over here could actually help you clear out a lot of your Prarabdha. So it is advisable that you do the things which you're supposed to do. You have to clear up your karmic balance, have to clear up the Prarabdha, whatever you have been holding on from the imprints of the past is what is going to come forward, and you have to actually deal with a lot. So here you could actually be coming across some challenging situations while the transit is on, depending on your natal placements as well. There could be some challenging situation in terms of some medical issues or health issues. So it is important that you actually keep a tab on what kind of food habits you have, and how you're going to keep your expenditure in control as well. So Jupiter here aspecting the 12th could actually make you spend a lot, and this could be on medical expenses as well. So very important that you keep the 2nd house matters. That is where Jupiter's aspect is going. You keep the food intake proper, in routine, and in a very disciplined way to actually keep your entire health angle in place, and avoid any unnecessary expenditures as well. A very important time to keep a check on your expenditure as well. So don't be very impulsive in terms of spending also. Now I move on to the next ascendant, or the next sign of Libra. So for Libra, you see Jupiter moves into the 5th house. It moves out of the Kendra houses, that is the 4th house, and moves into the 5th house over here. And it aspects the 11th house with the 7th aspect, aspects the ascendant and the 9th house. So it is affecting the entire Dharma trine as well, and aspecting the 11th house also. So a good transit, I would say. A lot of you would look at things with a lot of ambition. So you want to achieve a lot during this transit. Some of you would also look at change of jobs or change of professions over here. Jupiter's transit in the 5th house could actually trigger in a lot of job changes, or you could see that your role is changing, or your work environment undergoes a change. So changes at workplace is definitely indicated for a lot of you. Then you could also look at some enhancement of income. So you make ways to enhance your income as well. You like to increase your value, increase self-value. So some of you might also look at upgrading your skill sets, upgrading your education, etc. Something which increases your market value in the job market as such. That is something which a lot of you might feel like doing, and may actually do Jupiter is also the karka of finance, of wealth. So it could also be in terms of investing well, or understanding how your finances are to grow. So that is how the aspect of the 11th house also fructifies. You could actually gain in terms of uh, gain with the monetary angle, because you understand how money is growing. So find better ways of investing, invest better, invest wisely, upgrade yourself. So the angle is going to be more towards the finance side, growth over there, etc. And you become more ambitious during this transit. You want to accomplish more. Jupiter's transit over here in the fifth could actually make you do that as well. So some of you gain through changes, some of you gain through better investments, but changes are indicated over here. This is also an opportunity for you to actually change the way you conduct things, change the way you view things. Jupiter aspecting the Lagna could actually give you more opportunity to understand things better around yourself. So it could be from a philosophical angle, you understand things from a more philosophical, more mature angle as well. So here, this transit is going to bring in more maturity, bring in better lessons from the past, which you could translate into the work which you do, etc. as well. So good transit, I would say, this transit actually helps you enhance your learning curve as well. Then I move on to the next sign of Scorpio. So for Scorpio, you see Jupiter is of course a good planet for Scorpio ascendant, and it is leaving the third house, coming into the fourth house. From here, Jupiter aspects the Moksha trine, that is the 12th house and the 8th house, and directly aspects the 10th house, 10th house of work, profession, etc. So here, I would say that there is a lot of expansion coming up. Expansion in terms of the house which you live in, upgradation in the house which you live in. It could be an upgradation in terms of your vehicles. You could buy a bigger vehicle, or buy more, buy a new automobile, buy a new vehicle. This is also a time wherein you meet family members, spend time at home. A lot of family get-togethers happen, so you get more in touch with your relatives, with your with people at home, and you host a lot of people. So good opportunities coming up of mingling with a lot of people, interacting a lot at work as well. So a lot of relationships at work also undergo some change. You interact with a lot of people. Business opportunities could also increase, or work opportunities as such could also increase. So it's important that you focus over there. A lot of you might also gain from inheritance. So it could be by way of a house, or more assets as such. So inheritance gains, again depending on what your natal chart is saying, what your dasha is saying, are on the way also for a few of you. If uh, when we come to sudden gains or inheritance, etc., that also depends, what kind of a placement does Jupiter have. So if Jupiter is not very well placed in your natal chart, or if there are some issues there, the natal chart is not supporting this, there could be some problems also in terms of the inheritance as well. So Jupiter aspecting the 8th is also going to deal with this, as well as those of you who are undergoing some research or higher studies. You are deep down in some kind of a research, etc. Jupiter could also help you expand there, understand things better. Also a very good time for going within, meditating, pursuing spiritual practices, etc. Those of you who like to study astrology, or who have an interest in occult, could also find good opportunity to understand this subject very well. Expansion at work, as I said, is definitely on the cards, and a lot of you might want to work from home, or might continue working from home. Find a way to suit yourself by working at home. So I move on to the next ascendant, that is Sagittarius. So for Jupiter's transit into the sign of Aquarius, Sagittarius is the Lord of Sagittarius is Jupiter, and here the ascendant Lord, the sign lord itself is transiting from the second house to the third house. So very important transit, because when your Lagnesh or when your ascendant lord only is changing signs, it triggers in a lot of important events as well. So for you, for the Sagittarius ascendant, Jupiter from the third house aspects the ninth house directly, also aspects the seventh and the 11th house. So a time which shows that there are gains here. The entire karma trine is activated by way of Jupiter's transit. There are gains here. Gains could happen because you are changing jobs, because you're ready to travel far away, to seek the kind of results which you want. There's change of residence also which I see for you. There are long journeys which I see for you, so those journeys might turn out to be more fruitful. And you could forge into more partnerships, get into more business alliances. So the seventh house is also getting activated, the ninth house is getting activated or aspected by the Jupiter's transit in the third, and of course the 11th house. So all this actually shows in a lot of gainful, it shows a gainful period. All kinds of gains are in place. So of course it depends on the kind of dasha which you have, the natal charts promise as such, but overall this is a time where you could get into a good marriage alliance, get into wish fulfillment. Whatever was pending for long, you get to fulfill your wishes. So partnerships might help you, networking with people helps you, you get into more travel related stuff which also helps you. So overall I would say it's a good transit, but one thing which you need to keep in mind is your health. In case you are suffering from any kind of a hormonal disorder, or you have diabetes, etc., or some problems with the digestion system as such, you need to be really careful, because Jupiter in the third house actually is not a very great placement in terms of your health. So do maintain a good routine, do maintain good eating habits, etc., and get into regular checkups to avoid any kind of medical issues. Otherwise this transit in terms of wealth or in terms of other things seems to be pretty good for the Sagittarius ascendant. Then I move on to the Capricorn ascendant or the Makar Lagna. See, for Capricorn, I would say Jupiter is moving out of your ascendant into the second house of gains, of family, of wealth, of speech. And from here, it is aspecting the other two Artha houses, that is the 6th and the 10th. And with the 7th aspect, it aspects the 8th house as well. A lot of focus is going to be on money matters, on your family money, on your own pockets. There could be instances where you have to deal with your in-laws money, or with your spouse's family's wealth, or with your spouse's family as such. Those matters could take up a lot of your time and effort as such. So here a lot of movement is seen, a lot of activities seen, as I said, in terms of money. Your daily routine also sees some change. You get more busy in terms of your work or your profession. There could be more opportunities which come, and you need to be actually up and about to grab those opportunities. So that is what the transit of Jupiter is going to do for you. It could also trigger in some times of struggle. Jupiter aspects the 6th as well as the 8th house. So both these three houses could actually bring in some struggles or some obstacles once in a while. So be prepared for that. Be more proactive during this transit. That is what I would advise you to do, especially regarding your work. So your work and your financial angle needs to be actually seen, and you need to be more proactive. Also, take good care of your health. Any kind of a long pending medical issue needs regular attention, should be paid regular attention as well, should go for your regular checkups, etc. Especially if you're suffering from any kind of a endocrinal hormonal issue, or any kind of a diabetes problem as well. Then I move on to the next ascendant, that is the Aquarius ascendant. So for Aquarius ascendant, you see Jupiter is coming into the ascendant, into the Aquarius sign as such. And for Aquarius ascendant, Jupiter is the 2nd and the 12th lord also. So the houses of your pocket, your income and your gains, your savings and your gains, the house, both these houses are owned by Jupiter, and Jupiter is coming into the ascendant. Good time for gains, good time for increasing your wealth, your savings, etc. Your accumulated savings could increase. Your family could gain from this time, from this transit as such. And Jupiter from here aspects the seventh house directly, the fifth and the ninth. So the entire Dharma trine is actually getting activated with the Jupiter's aspect. And this time could actually make you see your self-worth going up. So you do something or you upgrade yourself so much that your self-worth increases. People view you as a more important person, or someone who's to be looked up to, or someone who can be approached for advice, for wise words. Okay, so of course it depends a lot on your age and stage. Desh Kal Patra is something which is very important in Jyotish, in astrology. So there is a lot of social connect also which you see. People come to you, people approach you, new people come into your life. Those of you who are looking at getting married could actually come into some great chances this year. And those of you who are also looking at childbirth or progeny issues could also get into good luck over here. So this helps you in conception, this helps you in marriage alliances. A lot of family issues get dealt with when Jupiter comes into the ascendant for Aquarius. So use your intelligence well, use your wisdom well during this transit. And one more thing which is very, very important for you, a word of caution: do not get tempted by speculative gains or quick money, get rich quick kind of schemes, or chances where you feel that money could come in quickly. Do not get tempted over there, because Jupiter, being the second lord, is aspecting the fifth. So there could be chances where you actually feel like getting into some speculation as well. So if you want to go ahead with a lot of advice, with a lot of counsel, but do not take risks with your money, with your savings. Then I move on to the next ascendant, which is Pisces ascendant. And Jupiter is the lord of Pisces. It is the lord of the 10th house, and it comes to the 12th house, to a Trik Bhava, and aspects the entire Moksha trine, which is the 4th and the 8th, and also aspects the 6th house, another Trik house. So I would say this is a time to actually introspect a lot on what you want to do. What kind of actions have you been doing? What kind of a karma are you accumulating for the future? So Jupiter's connection here, sitting in the 12th, aspecting the 6th house of Prarabdha, of difficulties, the 8th house also of difficulties, of suddenness, could actually make you, go into your shell. Look at what kind of actions you're doing, what holds for you in the future. So if in case any corrective measure is required, do that. Okay, so a lot of you could actually find yourself in more isolated situations. You don't want to maybe interact too much. You want to go ahead and spend more time on your own, study yourself, study a lot about spirituality, about yourself, about what kind of things does the future hold. You like to connect with the higher consciousness. So this is an excellent time for you to connect with yourself, connect with the divine power above, and dig deep down yourself. So spiritual practices, meditation practices, spending time alone, reading on your own, all these things could actually help you out over here. So there could be chances that you get away from home as well and spend time there. Those of you who are doing some business away from home or working away from home could actually spend more time away from home. So you spend more time at work, spend more time away, but it is important that you take a important check or understand what kind of how you're managing your time. How are you managing your time? How are you spending your resources? Jupiter is the Lagnesh, and Lagnesh being in the 12th house could actually make you spend a lot. but how are you spending it and what are you spending? Whether it is your time, energy, resources, is something which you have to be very, very mindful about. So, a time for introspection, time for going deep within and actually thinking through and plan ahead for the future is what I see for the Pisces ascendant. A lot of you could come into inheritance matters, insurance matters. A lot of you could actually feel like getting into some social work or charitable work as well. That is again a very good way of dealing with your prarabdha or dealing with your past karmas or rectifying anything which has been done in the past. Excellent opportunity for that. Um, Jupiter helps you there since it's activating the entire moksha trine, right? So all the best with this transit. That was all about the Jupiter's transit in the year of 2021 for all the 12 signs, the 12 ascendants. Watch out for more videos coming up very soon on my channel. Till then, take care. God bless. Thank you. Bye bye.